Um, Without having to transfer a humongous library, visual, mathematical, geometrical data held within that library, and then just transferring all that library into your library so that you experience it at once would be a challenge. Okay. So that's why if you go back to all my videos, you'd have to experience all those libraries. That's what makes qualifying what I say in the givens, which means like givens in a classroom when you're a teacher with a student. I have no idea the libraries that all of you are running unless I can read all your records. The ones you're with. The records that represent your cellular memories, your genetic race line, your genetic bloodline, your memory banks, your water banks, the planetary memory banks. And you get into record keeping exercises. Crystalline records cannot be altered. So when you have access to the crystalline records, you have access to what the one has access to. So when you're with the one, you have the access to the Cosmina records, the crystal records, the original crystal records. Okay, so I'll start with that. Now, for some background, for some of you that may not have ever experienced what I've communicated with you, a part of my background, because my roadmap, the speed at which I was moving through time and space, from the time I had this up and running at 4 years of age, was like a zoomer. When you realize flashing light sequences at a higher rate of speed, which is the acceleration of eternal electrons. That's an eternal accelerator. That's the one you're with. Okay? But after I'd gone into firefighting, even though I was a lifeguard when I was around Edge, it's always just like Dr. Young, always gravitating, wanting to help people, because what I experience, what you experience, which is biovoltage shock, which is a shock to your central nervous system, I experience that in me. That's the endocrine system of the universe. The immune system of the universe, of all living organisms, that start with a single cell to a multi-cell to a multi-dimensional cell. So scale it up. Okay? All the way up the echo worlds. All the way up the echo. Coming down the fire pole a long way. Because of the nature of the risk, if you will, to the echo. So failure was not an option. And so that's why I put a strong fatherly, motherly emphasis on it. But be that as it may, in the early 1980s, I came out of the hazmat area because I was a fire captain at the Naval Weapons Station in Seal Beach. So a lot like Patty Broussard, Sergeant Patty Broussard, who was an NBC officer, right? Okay, so I worked as a fire captain at the Naval Weapons Station, so you can imagine what they have there. That's all their nuclear, right? Chemical, radiological, and biological weapons. Storage, okay? So I'm very familiar with this territory, particularly as it relates to deadlight energy that is operated in its own self-interest. So it will use whatever means it has available to use as a weapon against anything that is alive and living in the universe that represents what love is, with the soul, integrated in spirit.